Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Nena Pinedo, and I am a kinder teacher at Central. And if you're here, hopefully it's because you're a very beginner in learning how to use a Jamboard that is pre-created. So I won't be teaching you how to create a Jamboard. I will be going over the steps in terms of how to use a Jamboard that has already been created, and I'm using one that was created by Megan. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And so the very first thing that I do when I'm preparing my Jamboard with my small group for the day is I open up my Padlet that has all of the pre-created Jamboards that Megan shared with us during one of our PDs. And if you don't have access to these, I can share them with you, send them to you in the link at the end of my presentation here. So I know exactly which ones are the ones that worked for certain kids. And the one that we've been using a lot right now is making CVC words. So I go ahead and open the Jamboard. Right. And then in order for me to know that this is the one that I'm going to use, let's just say with my Wednesday group, then I have to make a copy of it. So I go to the top here where the three dots are. If you click on it, you get a drop down menu that lets you make a copy of the Jamboard. And at that point, it'll prompt you to if you would like to rename it. So I delete that and say that if I wanted to make sure that I'm using the right one for Wednesday's group, or whatever you call your kids, you can name it, and then you say okay. And as you can see, it's making a whole nother copy for me. And that's the copy that you'll be able to make any changes on. And I call it, like, I prep it, I get it ready for the kids that are coming with me for the day. So, the other thing that I do is I close the other one out just to make sure I'm using the right one. Again, beginner. And the next thing that I do is I go into the Jamboard and I put the names of the kids that I will be working with that day. So if you go to the top here, you have the arrows that'll either, if you click on them, it'll take you to the next frame, as you can see, or you have another arrow that will expand the bar. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. The first page has the teacher page, which is I use as my model for the lesson whatever my teach is going to be. And then what I was referring to in terms of getting the page or the Jamboard ready for my small group is when I do use the expand bar, you can see that you have these three little dots that shows you the page that I'm on right now. And if I have 3 kids coming, I can duplicate the page by tapping on the 3 dots, and then you click duplicate for as many kids as you will have for the day. So I'm just going to do 3 for today so that I can show you the next step. Again, the first one is your teacher page, and then I've duplicated 3 pages. I close it, and then I go into the page, and I'm going to teach you how to put the child's name on there. So you hover over the sticky, you click on it, it'll open it, and then you can use your back button to delete what has been labeled on there. And you can put the name of your student and then click save, so that when you share the link with your kids, they know which page belongs to them, and that's the page that they can move things around in. Then you'll go to the next page and you'll do the same process. Again, you hover over the sticky, click on it twice. You could use the backspace, put the child's name, and then click save. One more time, move forward, hover, double space. If you don't want to use your back button, Megan did teach me this fun little trick. You can click on where it says student name 3 times, and it'll highlight the whole thing for you, and you can just type right on top of there and click save. Okay. So now that you have the Jamboard ready for your small group, so that's my page. You can see that's where you change pages. It's ready for my 3 kids that are coming. I call it like prepping it for them. Then the next thing you want to do is I'm going to teach you how to share it with your kids. But before you share it with your kids, you do need to do one more step. So right next to the 3 dots, you'll see where it says share. You'll click on share. And before you send it to the kids so that they can have access to moving the letters, you need to change it from anyone, from only people who have a South Bay account to anyone who has the link. So you'll click on this little arrow, the down arrow, and you can see this is where it's preset at. You'll change it to anyone with the link. And then if you hover over to the right, you can see where it says that it's set up in viewer mode. Again, you want the kids to be able to move things in terms of the letters. So then you'll click on editor. And now the link is ready for you to share with the kids. What I will tell you is that I don't always copy the link at this point because if I share the link with the kids before I've done my teach, then they can actually start moving things around. So I kind of hold back. I teach from the teacher page, and then I just come back here again and just pick up. So I can close it at any point. Once, you know, I'm ready to share it with them, everything's done. So I just copy the link and then close it out. And then at that point, I go into the chat box and I paste it in the chat box. The other thing I wanted to share with you is just like a couple tips in terms of what I do with the kids when I'm ready to share it with them. I paste it into the chat box and I tell the kids that I'm going to give them a countdown. So I'll do like a 3, 2, 1. And at 1, that's when I send the link to them so that they can tap on it and open it up on their end. Now, I teach kindergarten, so some kids, and this, I guess it's the same with other grades, some kids are at home with their parents and others are in a daycare. So this is the only other tip that I wanted to share with you guys, is that the kids that were home before I did this process with them or try to teach them how to use the Jamboard, I sent a message to the parent and I let them know that we would be doing something new and if they could just come and sit with the child just to help them pick up the link so that they would know how to do it. And it took them a couple times and then they were able to do it on their own. Those kids that were at a daycare, what I did with them is, again, same thing. I sent a message to the parents and I set up a different time, like a little time whenever they could later in the day. And we practiced with the student one-on-one, or 2 kids were there. And then once they knew how to do it, the following day when they were in daycare, they were able to pick up the link on their own.
Maria, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
The first one is, do you have the instructions written, like step by step?
For myself?
Oh, no, for us.
For you guys. I don't, but I can do that. And I should have mentioned to you that that is something that I did when Megan taught me how to use them. Is I had like my little pad and I was like writing step 1, step 2, so on and so forth. And then the other thing that I did is that I practiced.
Okay.
So you could do it, you know, with a colleague, or you could she and I practiced several times before I even tried it with the students. But once once you have it down for yourself, and I'd be happy to go over it
Mhm.
steps if I went too slow, I mean, sorry, too fast, it'll become like clockwork for you. It really will.
And then one more thing, because Megan did show me, but I kind of got lost when I tried to do it myself. I must have missed a step or something because I couldn't do it with the kids. But I was wondering what it looks like when you send the link to the kids. Like, what is it that they see on their screen? I'm
Yeah,
curious.
so I wondered the same thing, and what I could tell you is that I used my iPad and I logged into my own Jamboard through the iPad so that I could see what the kids were able to see, and then also how to teach them how to go back into the Zoom. Let's just say if you're done with your lesson or they're done exploring, making words. Then I went into my own, and that's how I was able to, like, you know, see exactly what they were doing. And that way you use whatever language you think they would understand, find the back button, or, you know, so on and so forth. And then in terms of tips, because again, they're kinder. So I just made sure that on the very first day that I shared the link with them, before I shared it, or I'm sorry, that I shared the Jamboard, I did go over how to change the frames until they found their page. I did go over that with them. So I shared my screen and I did all the teaching with them first. And then I sent the link to them. And again, first time parent was there, they were able to help them through it. Trying to think if there's anything else. Oh yes, so when you are working with the kids and you want to see what they're doing, you could actually use the little expand bar, and it'll drop down the kids that you're working with. So you can see, you can see what each child is doing, up to 4 of them. And above it, you'll know if they're on their Jamboard, if above them is their little you know, their little circle that has their initial. And the only other thing that I've run into is that if the student isn't logged into their .NET account, then you're going to see anonymous. You'll see a little circle and it'll say anonymous on the top of it. Versus, you know, an M for Mia or a C for Claudia. That will be the only other thing that I can think of that has come up as an issue.
What would be what would be the easiest way to access Megan's K1 grade phonics Padlet?
I can share those with you. So let me stop sharing here. And unless there's any other questions regarding the Jamboard, I'd be happy to answer.
Are there any second grade Padlets?
She only has K first, but she did teach me also, and I don't have Facebook, but if you're a Facebook user, she did also teach me that you can search for people who have created Jamboards, and you would go through the same process. You would just make a copy of it, rename it for yourself. And I guess there's a lot out there. I haven't explored yet, but she did share with me that if you're a Facebook user, there are certain people that are out there that have created like many Jamboards already. Okay.
Can I ask you a question, Maria?
Yes.
Okay, yes, I was just wondering the process. I'm very beginning with this also. So say like this Jamboard that you have here for us, when you want to put it away in your files, you wouldn't put away all of these for Maria, Claudia, and Bob, right? You would just use the teacher one? You save the teacher one, and do you delete the rest of them, or would they save into your Google Drive account, or how would that work?
Yeah, so what you can do is when you're done working with the kids, you go back to the little 3 dots and you can remove it. You could basically trash it.
Okay, I see.
So once
Got
you
it.
remove it, it's gone. And then the next time that you want to use, a different Jamboard, same thing, you would go into her Padlet.
Mhm.
And then you can, search through them. So like in 1 week, sometimes I've used somewhere between 2 and 3 different Jamboards, depending on the level of the kids.
Okay, got it.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
The students will have to scroll like from 3, 4, 5 to find their name.
Yes, they just
Okay.
use the little arrow right here at the top,
Uh-huh.
and that's how they change pages.
Okay, and then they just start working on that. Okay.
And then they start working on it, correct.
Mhm.
So I always do, a teach, and this is where I go over, okay, we're gonna be, making words with the up family, and then we go over a few, and they help me out with a few of them. And then, okay, now it's your turn. I'm gonna, have you do it. And then they go onto their page and then they do it themselves.
Once I close it and I'm done, is it removed from the child's iPad, or they can still continue? Because I think a teacher told me one time that was a problem because the kids could still continue, but I'm not sure if I understood right.
Yeah, I have not had that problem. The other thing that you can do, and I don't know how to do that yet, but you can share this Jamboard in Seesaw. Like, say that you want the kids to continue to work on CVC words or whatever, whatever other skill you're going over, you could actually convert this Jamboard into a Seesaw activity.
I can, all you have to do is copy the link and put it as, you know how when we do activities, you input, you can put a link, just
Mhm.
put it in the link and title it. Because I did it for math and my students were able to just go directly to the Jamboard.
The same one I put in
Yes.
chat for
Yeah.
them to access. Oh, okay, that's good to know. I didn't know that.
Mhm.
And they were able to manipulate it and move it around in
Yes.
Seesaw. Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sylvia.
And I will tell you that the kids love, love, love whenever it's we're working with the Jamboards. They really do enjoy going in there, and it's a lot of fun. The best part is you could actually get to see what the kids are able to do.
Maria, this is great. But I was wondering, is this like for just a small group, or could you have like 20 kids doing this at the same time?
So I've heard that some people have used them for their entire class. Like if there's different ways to use it. My session today was just using like a pre-created Jamboard, but if you can use it as a way of like posting a question, and then the kids could, use their little Post-its to put their answers in.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to use it, with your whole class. And I'm sure there's many other ways. I'm just, the only part that I'm like, I consider myself like I can do this now is just actually using these pre-made, Jamboards.
Mm-hmm.
And Nena, can you actually change like where you have your ABC, your alphabet, can you change those to be different things on there? Like, for our phonics program, how if we want to have like endings and put like ing and then have like adapt the rest of it besides the sticky, the
Yes,
teacher and the
yes,
names.
you can. So like I just clicked on H, and it's the same process. You back page and then say, backspace, and then say that you wanted to turn it into an ing. And
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, and again, these are like, even though they're pre-made, you can still make changes in them as well. And then when you're done with it and you throw it, you get rid of it, the next time you open it, it'll look like you've never done anything to it. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing because I believe I've come to the end of my session.